History shapes the world in profound ways, often in ways that are subtle or not immediately apparent. The impact of history can be seen through events, ideas, and movements that have left lasting legacies and shaped political ideologies and systems. It helps explain the choices made by individuals, nations, and civilizations. Would you like to explore how specific historical events or movements have shaped the world further? Then, grab a popcorn.
The cold winter wind howled through the halls of the palace, as Catherine the Great stood over the map of her empire. Her fingers trembled as she traced the borders she had fought so hard to expand. Behind her, shadows flickered on the walls, cast by the glow of 1,000 candles. Russia was vast. It was powerful. But at what cost? Catherine the Great's rise to power wasn't just a story of ambition. It was a tale of betrayal, brilliance, and bold decisions, some that lifted a nation and others that left scars for generations. My name is Ola, and I come from a small village in Nigeria. I heard Catherine's story many years later when I went to Europe to study. At first, I thought she was just another queen. But the more I learned, the more I saw how her choices changed the world, including my continent Africa, both in good and bad ways. Catherine wasn't born Russian. She was a German princess named Sophie. At just 16 years old, she was sent to Russia to marry the future king, Peter III, the man who would become emperor. It wasn't a love story. Their union was built on the sturdy foundation of a friendship between the kings of both countries. As a prince and heir to the throne, Peter was difficult and more interested in playing games. He was never a good leader. People didn't like him, and he didn't seem to care more. Catherine, on the other hand, was sharp, driven, and determined to make a name for herself. She learned the Russian language, converted to the Orthodox Church, and embraced her new country with passion. Still, life at the palace was hard. Many people didn't trust her because she was from another country. Yet, she didn't break. Instead, she pushed on. When Peter became emperor, he made many mistakes. He upset the nobles and the army and made rules people didn't like. Catherine saw this as a chance. With the help of disgruntled soldiers, she removed Peter from power. He was arrested, and shortly after, Peter died. Let me quickly add that Peter III's reign was very brief, lasting only about 6 months before he was overthrown in a coup led by his wife, Catherine the Great, in July 1762. Some say Catherine ordered his death. Others argue it was out of her control. But the truth? Only the shadows of the palace know. What we do know is that Catherine became ruler of Russia in 1762. It was a risky move. If her plan had failed, she could have been killed. But Catherine believed she could rule better than Peter, her husband. As Empress of Russia, Catherine ruled with an iron will and a visionary mind. She modernized Russia, building schools, hospitals, and roads. She supported the arts, bringing European culture to her court. Under her rule, Russia became one of the most powerful empires in the world. She was admired for her intelligence and wit, which often corresponded with great thinkers like Voltaire. Yet, Catherine's reign wasn't without darkness. She expanded her empire through ruthless wars, annexing vast territories in Poland, Ukraine, and Crimea. This conquest brought wealth and power but also suffering. People were uprooted, culture suppressed, and lives lost. The peasants, who are the poorest and most oppressed class, saw little relief under her rule. In fact, their conditions worsened as Catherine strengthened the power of the upper-class people who enslaved the poor. From 1773 to 1775, Emelian Pugachev laid claim to the throne, thereby portraying himself to be the rightful emperor. He led independent fighters, mostly consisting of peasants who were oppressed by Catherine's rule, to stage an uprising. However, Catherine crushed the uprising with brutal force, leaving a trail of death and despair. Still, Catherine was a woman ahead of her time. She believed in education and enlightenment, dreaming of a better future for her people. She tried to reform the government, even drafting a new legal code based on equality and justice. But these ideas often clashed with the harsh realities of maintaining power in a massive and divided empire. She made compromises that betrayed her own principles, choosing stability over change. As Katoran's life drew to a close, she looked back on her reign. She had transformed Russia into a global power, leaving behind a legacy of art, culture, and innovation. But she also left behind questions. Could she have done more for the ordinary people? Could she have ruled with less bloodshed? Was the glory of her empire worth the pain it cost? She sought answers to many questions. In the twilight of her life, Catherine was haunted by the fragility of power. She worked tirelessly to prepare her son, Paul, for the throne, though their relationship was strained. Paul resented her for sidelining him during her reign, and Catherine feared that his erratic nature would undo her legacy. She even considered bypassing him entirely, naming her grandson Alexander as her successor, but death came too soon for her plans to take shape. On November 17, 1796, Catherine suffered a stroke and passed away the following day. She died alone. Her dreams of securing Russia's future were no more. The vast empire she had built was left in the hands of her son, whose reign would be chaotic and short-lived. Yet, Katoran's influence endured. Her efforts to modernize Russia and her patronage of the arts left an indelible mark on the nation. Catherine the Great's story is one of contradictions. She was a tyrant and a reformer, a conqueror and a dreamer. She showed the world that a woman could wield power as effectively and ruthlessly as any man. But she also showed how power can corrupt, forcing even the brightest minds to make dark choices. And what can we learn from her life? Perhaps it's this. Greatness isn't just about achievements. It's about how those achievements impact others. Catherine chased glory and left her mark on the world. But in the end, the empress who ruled an empire larger than any other was still just a human, flawed, complicated, and searching for meaning in the shadows of her own success. This is quite captivating. Don't you think so? What captivated me most is that Katoran's story teaches the importance of resilience and determination. Despite being a foreigner in Russia and facing distrust, she did not give up. She learned the language, adapted to a new culture, and remained focused on her goals. Wow! Catherine the Great's story is a complex tale of ambition, power, and the cost of leadership. African leaders can learn from her strategic thinking, resilience, and focus on modernization. However, it also serves as a reminder of the importance of ethics, compassion, and long-term consequences in leadership. The story highlights the power of decisions, both good and bad, in shaping the future of a nation.